and did not know his whereabouts. Justice Nyako said the only option left for Mr. Kanu was to go to the Court of Appeal and exercise his rights of appeal. Now it's 9 days to the first anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration. We'll take a critical look into his achievement in politics and governance, economy, tackling insecurity, infrastructure development, health, education, and many others. Joining us, All Progressives Congress Zonal Publicity Secretary in the Southeast, Augustine Onyedebelu. Also joining us, he'll be joining us from Owerri, Imo State. And Dino Odeyemi, who is former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, joins us from the United Kingdom. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on the program today. Let me begin with you, Mr. Onyedebelu. Or rather, as it is, many people have actually before now described the president as the dawn of politics. And, talking about politics and governance, do you think that he has actually been able to silence his enemies, that he's not just a politician, but also a good administrator? Mr. Onyedebelu, that question is for you.
Presidents have actually done very well. First of all, I'm glad to be here. To participate, the president has done in just a very short period of time that he has been on the saddle. Yes, he has done very well. I am one of those that says he has silenced his critics. He has shown that he's a nationalist. He's a detribalized Nigerian, and he has led the country forward. He is walking in the middle, carrying everybody along. And he has done very, very well in this very short period of time.
Well, let's bring in Mr. Odeyemi, for his perspective on this. I'm wondering what your assessment is of, the president, especially with when they talk about governance being a continuum. Do you think he has actually succeeded in carrying on with the policies and programs and projects of the previous administration, towards a continuing, the legacy of growth and improvement in the country?
Thank you very much for having me. I want to start by saying that no person will agree that his mother is ugly. So I don't expect anything less from what my brother just said now. But we really want to look at, the administration of President Bola Tinubu vis-a-vis the last administration, which we can say is a continuous one. We want to look at the corruption level in Nigeria. To what extent has President Tinubu actually fought corruption? To what extent? In this administration, we have heard of a minister who embezzled or who mismanaged billions of naira meant for the downtrodden people. Nothing is being done. We have not heard anything about that any further. You talk of economic mismanagement. Where do we start? Is it the currency fluctuation every day? Yes. Fuel subsidy was removed. Electricity tariff was jacked up. These are the things that affect ordinary Nigerians. And in as much as the president is not able to solve the problem, who smiles on their faces? I wonder where the pass mark is coming from. We are talking of security. Look at, if you read the papers on daily basis, or you hear any news, there is no day that terrorism or kidnapping has not occurred in large numbers compared to during the time of PDP. President Jonathan was voted out of office simply because 105 Chibok girls. Since then, we have had thousands of people kidnapped. And I wonder what is happening to the Nigerian, to the NGOs. During Jonathan, it was so easy to organize rallies, protests here and there. But here, simply because perhaps President Tinubu is a Yoruba person and the NGOs are concentrated in the Southwest, nobody is talking. So from my own perspective, there are a lot of things to be done. I want to agree with that. But as at today, Nigerians are not smiling. Things are not going well.
Well, let's bring in Mr. Oyedebelo. You have heard Mr. Odeyemi. Would you just react to some of those points he has raised?
Yes, very well. He talked about a minister that stole billions of naira. You see, Mr. President is not one of those presidents that will be caught napping. He was very active, and when he saw that something was about to go wrong, Mr. President immediately stepped in and suspended the minister when there was an allegation that something was about to happen. In fact, as much as that I know, the money is not yet stolen. There was some errors in appropriation of the fund. It didn't go the right way it's supposed to go. But Mr. President stepped in immediately to ensure that nothing goes wrong. And this is different from what we used to see during the time of PDP. During the time of PDP, that money will be stolen and more will go on top of that and nothing will be done about it. He talked about electricity. Yes, electricity tariff was increased. And everything is based on the present economic situation. And mind you, this economic situation that we have now is not just Nigeria, it's a global economic situation. I'm glad my brother is speaking from outside Nigeria, and let him tell us that where he is, that the economy is still very good. It is a global thing. And Mr. President is doing everything he can to ameliorate the suffering of the people. He's doing everything he can to see that this electricity tariff is controlled, and that's why he's looking at a lot of alternatives to provide electricity, to provide energy to the people, to be able to move the country forward. He also talked about kidnapping and terrorism. It's like he quickly forgot how kidnapping and terrorism started in Nigeria. It started during the time of PDP, and they did not fight it. And so the people were able to master their game. And since Mr. President came to power, he too will testify that Mr. President have been very active fighting this, responding to anything that happens anywhere. These people have rooted it very well. And Mr. President is doing everything he can to smoke them out of wherever they are to ensure that security of life and property returns to Nigeria.
All right. Well, going back to Mr. Odeyemi, the question I actually posed to you earlier was about continuity in governance. And I really wanted you to, give your assessment of this. When you look at projects like, the rail project and some others which this government took on when, they assumed office less than a year ago.
You see, the only a good government can give Nigerians or can give the people is hope or an assurance that things will get better. But are we really getting the result that a government that left did well and the one that took over is doing better? No, it has been a kind of a reverse game. And that's exactly the point I'm making. If as a government that took over APC, that took over from APC, what has been the benefit to Nigerians? Of course, Nigerians are now regretting. They are regretting voting APC, even though the issue of whether they won the election is another matter entirely. But let us assume or let us agree, yes, election has come and gone.
But Mr. Odeyemi, for you, is that still in contention? Is that still in contention for you? The court has spoken, hasn't it?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I said the court has spoken. You see, I don't even want to go into the controversy of the election or anything. But what I'm saying is, if we are talking about the continuity of a government, it is very wrong to say, yes, PDP did this. PDP did it almost 16 years ago. You are there now for how many years? What has changed? You put up the issue of hope. Where is the hope? Continuity. Where is the continuity? Nigeria is not benefiting anything from this administration, and we all feel it. We all know it. So I don't see any difference. It has been from even good to the worst. It's like moving a step forward and moving 10 steps backward. That's how it is. What has changed in the government of Buhari and the present administration? Nothing, other than more hardship. I've mentioned the issue of subsidy removal. Even during Buhari, he said he was going to remove subsidy, but he didn't do it until he left government.
Mr. Odeyemi, we need to take...
battling with the issue of electricity.
Mr. Odeyemi, if you can hear me, we need to take a break now. I know you are still there. Augustine Oyedebelo is still there, and we'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll continue to look at other issues that has to do with the countdown to the first anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration. Please stay with us.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
Thank you so much for staying with us on the program. I still have with me APC Zonal Publicity Secretary of the Southeast, Augustine Oyedebelo. He joins us from Owerri, Imo State. And Diran Odeyemi, former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, joins us from the UK. Gentlemen, it's good to still have you here. I would really want Mr. Odeyemi to say something about the issue of subsidy. You have hammered on that before we went on that break. In your assessment, would you rather that subsidy remained and only a few, benefited from that? What is your position on this, really?
My position on the fuel subsidy is that whatever the government could be able to identify to be an aspect of corruption in its removal, they should have done something in such a way that it doesn't affect, an average Nigerian. When you are talking of electricity, when you are talking of fuel subsidy removal, this is something that affects every Nigerian in all ways. In the area of transportation, in the area of employment, it's like spending more money that is not even in your pocket to spend. This is something that affects everybody. The government would have removed the element of corruption whereby some people claim to have supplied fuel or crude oil in certain areas, and they are taking more money than they supply, or in some instances, they didn't supply at all. The government should have found a way to deal with that aspect and cushion the effect of whatever on Nigerians, rather than just removing it and, leaving Nigerians, to suffer unnecessarily. Because Nigerians are suffering. And it started from day one when President Tinubu said categorically that he will remove fuel subsidy.
Well, yes, and let's bring in Mr. Oyedebelo. Would you react to this point about the removal of subsidy?
Yes, the removal of subsidy, even my brother here knows that it is the right thing to do. He is just playing politics. Every president that have been there said that they will remove the subsidy, but they didn't have the guts. They didn't have the resolve to do it. Even Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, when he was contested, said he was going to remove subsidy. Then when Mr. President, the man that came to work, and from day one, from the first minute he stepped in, faced what he needed to do, they changed direction and they started to criticize. Everybody knows that fuel subsidy have been a conduit pipe. Fuel subsidy is contributed to the biggest suffering of Nigerians today. And Mr. President understands this, and he made sure that this thing that is killing the country, that he deals with it head on immediately, so that if you're now working, things will begin. For instance, you have a container that is leaking, and every day you are working and putting in that container and they continue to leak out. The first thing you should do is to either replace this container or patch it up if it is patchable. But this one was not patchable. So Mr. President had to do a complete replacement, and that is why he removed the fuel subsidy. Yes, the fuel subsidy removal affected everybody, but Mr. President is doing everything. He's a very listening president. Anything that affects the people, the president listens. That is why every single day, if you look at there, you see Mr. President. It's not that president we don't see. Remember during the time of PDP, Sometimes things will be happening, the country is breaking down, and we are begging and yelling. Can we at least see our president? Can we hear from our president? And the president is nowhere to be found. But President Tinubu is always there. Every time the people yell, every time the people cry, Mr. President is there. He's talking to us. He's helping us in every way he can. But seeing the president alone helps a lot of people, helps the country. But during the time of PDP, only God knows how many times I saw the president on the TV.
Well, let's bring in Mr. Odeyemi. It does appear your party, the PDP, is not, playing the opposition card well. And one is wondering what is happening. It's like you're not really ready to be in opposition. Could this be because former President Olusegun Obasanjo, had that ambitious goal that the PDP was going to be in power for 60 years, but it turned out only to be a fraction of that? I mean, only 16. Could that be the reason for your disposition and performance as a party in opposition?
Perhaps what you are mistaking to be the silence of the opposition is the fact that we are not on the streets to protest against series of maladministration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Perhaps Nigerians are used to the era whereby President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and various NGOs will come out in the public in the afternoon, in the morning, to condemn the policies of the government. But we believe we don't need this. We believe in telling the public, or the public themselves are feeling the hardship. What we need to do as opposition is to continue to put it to Nigerians that if you give us the opportunity, we will do it better and we can do it better. So the kind of statement that should be made from us as opposition are daily being made, in all the media. Except if you want to say that you have not seen us on the streets, or we have not said anything that is frivolous, that we now give the president the opportunity to say yes, he wants to make arrest, he wants to block PDP secretariat or whatever. Because we know this administration, when it comes to muscling up political parties, when it comes to reducing the power of political parties, we know they have the capability and they have the capacity as their own strategy. So we will not allow them to kill. They are killing labor. They have the plan to suppress PDP. We are aware of this. But we have our own strategy of reaching out to Nigerians and putting it to them that this administration is not doing them any good. My brother said something the other time, that even seeing the president is more than enough for some people. I wonder how many food is being put on the table of Nigerians because the president is talking to them. And I don't understand the kind of talk the president is making if at the end of the day, the Nigerians are not smiling, they are not happy. They don't have the money to spend, there's no employment. Even the few that are employed, they don't even enjoy, they don't have that luxury of money to say, yes, we can afford this. The take home is not even taking anybody home. That is my submission.
And bringing in Mr. Oyedebelu now, let's look at some other policies of government, this time in education. We've heard about the, student education loan scheme and, other policies in that regard. What is your assessment of the president's performance within this first year, in the aspect of education?
First of all, I'm going to touch up something from what my brother just said. Everybody knows Mr. President is a Democrat. This is a man that is there for everyone. And in the issue of education that you brought up, this is the first president that understands that the solution to the problem we have in this country is hinged. Most of it is hinged on education. We talk about insecurity. Lack of education breeds insecurity. Mr. President understands these things. And that is the reason why he's doing everything to see that our people are educated. That is why he has brought in the student loan. This is what helped a whole lot of Nigerians who studied abroad to be able to study because the financial aid is there, the student's loan is there. So Mr. President is trying to see that the son and daughter of the farmer will be able to go to school along with the son of the senator. So it's no longer going to be a discriminatory thing that some people are going and the other ones are not there. And I mean, when people are not that empowered, they go into the negative angle.
All right, so Mr. Oyedebelu, let me quickly get the views of Mr. Odeyemi. In about 30 seconds, this policy on education, especially with the students' loan, is it a hit or a miss? You have 30 seconds, please.
Just this morning, we read on the news that the president made the clarification about the student loan. It is not for everybody. It is for students who are in federal government institutions. Is this not discrimination within Nigerians? That means you have a policy that is not even encompassing, that is not affecting all Nigerians, despite the fact that when it comes to election, it is Nigerians that vote. That you now say, because some people are in private university or private polytechnics, they will not benefit from the student loan. That means you are not capable, you are not even sure of the policy you are introducing.
All right, Mr. Odeyemi,
it doesn't happen like that in abroad.
All right, Mr. Odeyemi, you've made your point. Thank you so much. Mr. Odeyemi, that's the much we'll be able to take. And I must sincerely appreciate you, gentlemen. I've been speaking with Diron Odeyemi. He's former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. I've also been speaking with Augustine Oyedebelu, All Progressives Congress Zonal Publicity Secretary for the Southeast. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show today. Watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. I am Abosede Adeniro Aderemi. Bye for now.